Coming up on today's show, we're looking at the PS5 breakdown, new details about PS5 trophies, and we've got a preview of Watch Dogs Legion. What's good, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the What's Good Games podcast, your source for video game news, commentary, analysis, and funny stuff every Friday. I'm Andrea Renee, joined by a very animated Christine Steimer.
Hello, I've had some wine.
And Brittany Brumbacher is here.
Hello.
And welcome back, Riana Manuel.
Hello.
Congratulations, Rhi, on your new job.
Woo! Oh, it's really exciting. And I did double check. I'm cool to be here. So thanks, G4, for letting me stick with what's good.
Hells yeah.
Thanks, G4. You're the best.
We stand a network that allows side projects to continue.
Yes, 100% standing. We're super excited for you. We talked about it on WGG Live when you announced on Monday. And while we're sad that you can't keep working with us in the way that you were, we're super glad that you can hang around and come back to the podcast from time to time, and can't wait to see what you're going to do with the fun folks over at G4.
Thank you.
And also, you will be closer to us.
Also, yes, move to Los Angeles.
Working on it. Working on it.
I know. So Britt.
Britt, Rhi's been with us a shorter amount of time, and she's already coming down here. So
it's this immense pressure on me now, and it's okay. It's fine. It's just part of the process. Ladies and gentlemen, this is peer pressure at its finest.
It truly is. You know, I don't peer pressure a lot, but in this instance, I think it's warranted.
It's fair. It is.
It's totally fair.
Well, speaking of peer pressure, no, that's not the kind of segue I wanted to make here. I do want to let you guys know that we are counting down to our 200th episode of What's Good Games.
So watch it or die.
Well,
just kidding.
That's a very lovely threat from one Christine.
It's a spoop.
It is a spoop. I do want to say it wouldn't be possible without our fantastic Patreon community supporting us from day one, and that includes our October Patreon producers, Chewy's Godson, Califorunicated, Justin Foshee, Punkdefied, Faris Attieh, Mohammed Mohammed, Marcus Brown, David Iacolucci, and Alex Rigopulos. Thank you to all of our producers for supporting us, and welcome to our Patreon community at patreon.com/whatsgoodgames, Kate and Kyle Burkholder. Don't forget, you guys can be part of the show if you are on Patreon by submitting questions when Britt calls for them every week. And there's a bunch of other fun perks if you want to help support the show, like getting the show for ad-free. You don't have to listen to ads if you go to patreon.com/whatsgoodgames and subscribe to the Epic membership or above. Just a little pro tip. Brittany, another way for people to support if they don't have the finances to do so on Patreon is to give us reviews, preferably of the 5-star variety. And we have a couple people that have done so this week.
We do. We have Cartfin. Thank you, Cartfin. We also have Zombie Rogers, who says, Mass Effect 2 is the worst of the trilogy, and I will fight about it. That being said, I love you all. Cheers. Thank you, Zombie Rogers.
I will definitely fight you in the street, Zombie Rogers, when I see you next.
It will happen. And we also have Bad Tack. Thank you all so much for those reviews. Like Andrea said, if you don't have the means to support us financially, you can support our ego by leaving us a 5-star review.
You know, I think for Zombie Rogers, if we're not counting the very last bit of Mass Effect 3, I would agree with him. But the very last bit definitely ruined a lot.
Ruined it all. Ruined the whole game.
Not ruined the whole game, but I remember having like the most amazing epic fucking time and so many emotional highs and lows, and then the ending, and I literally was just like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Rough. That's rough, buddy.
You weren't alone.
I
Steimer.
wasn't, which was unfortunate.
No.
I kind of had hoped that would be one of those moments where I was alone, but I was not.
No. All right, well, let's get into the news. And I want to let you know that this week's episode of What's Good Games is brought to you by Tile and Upstart, but we'll talk more about that later. Our first story is, of course, that wild dismantling of the PlayStation 5. Brittany, would you mind kicking us off?
I'll kick you so far, baby girl. All right.
Wait, like
no, that sounded way more violent. Yeah. No,
can you kick somebody in a hot way?
I mean, if you have her consent,
if you're into that, of course.
I don't think I'd want to be kicked.
Anyway, PlayStation 5 teardown video offers first look at the console's guts. This comes from Polygon. With just over a month to go until the PlayStation 5 launches, Sony has finally given us a detailed look at the internal components of its next generation console in a teardown video posted Wednesday on the PlayStation YouTube channel. The teardown was conducted by Yasuhiro Utori, Vice President of the Mechanical Design Department at Sony Interactive Entertainment's Hardware Design Division. Very, very smart man. In the 7-minute video, Utori indeed tore down the PlayStation 5 entirely, showing off and commenting on its components as he disassembled the console. Now, did you ladies see this at all?
Absolutely.
I only heard about it because I heard about I saw all the things afterwards about how large the PlayStation was in relation to this man.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
But I didn't actually watch this video. So
yeah, I watched it and I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to follow along as well as I can. So okay, you're showing off the USB ports. Okay, I get it. That's cool. Lay the PlayStation 5 on its side. Showed that weird.
Look at that big fan.
Right. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
we
a
have a
big
question
fan.
about the fan for you specifically in a second.
Ooh,
And then he
exciting.
took off the side panels, showed off the cute little dust collector holes in there that you can vacuum out with a vacuum cleaner. And then after that, it was game over. I was lost. I didn't understand a single damn thing that happened during the rest of that terrible video.
Do I want a console that I have to vacuum?
Yes.
That I have to vacuum? That I can
Have
vacuum?
to.
Well,
That I have to
But
vacuum?
like any.
I've never vacuumed
almost
either
any
of my others.
electronic device you have to dust if you want to make sure to maintain it.
Dust? Yes. I do dust my
Vacuum?
consoles, but I do not open them up and vacuum them. Should I be doing that?
I mean, maybe, because here's my thing. If you have a vacuum, like a little handheld vac, you're not just blowing the dust around, you're actually removing the dust, right? Whereas if you take like the cans of compressed air, like you use
I
for
don't use.
keyboards
I
and
use like an
stuff,
actual duster on top of it or around it.
Yeah. That's just
Yeah.
that's just my 2 cents. I like that they thought about that because it's going to help long-term performance. When you're spending the kind of money that you have to drop for this console, plus the games, plus controllers, all of that, like it's a significant investment. You want this console to last. And the best way to maintain your high-end electronics is to take care of them.
I agree. My only gripe is that, like, what family is gonna go in and like disassemble this to vacuum it however many times in the next few years, or put in the proprietary hard drive to extend it? You know what I mean? It's very technical and it feels a little unapproachable for your typical consumer.
So to vacuum it out, all you have to do is take off the side panel, and it's just like you click it off yourself, and then the little dust holes are right there. So it's not like
No
you
screws
have to perform
required.
surgery. No screws
That doesn't
required.
seem as bad
Okay,
as
that's
the
fine.
expandable
No,
storage
and
bit.
that's why I understood all of it.
Hello,
until that point.
motherboard.
And then after that, that was it. So earlier in the video, one of the first things this very, very intelligent man does is he shows you how to lay the PlayStation 5 on its side. And to do that,
yes,
you
let me
unscrew
find that part of the
something-
video.
Okay. Yeah. So to do that, you unscrew
You
the
lay it gently and you sing it
Yes.
a lullaby.
Yeah, I wish it was that simple. You remove the screw on the base of it, and then you take the screw, store it into the base, get a plug from the base, use that plug to plug the hole that the screw is in, and then you take the base and then you click it on, and then you can lay it on its.
You rotate. He has the
Rotate
rotation
it.
thing here.
Yeah, I missed the rotation part. I am so sorry. Yeah, and then you just
should
click it
be.
right there, and then you can just lay that baby down, sing a lullaby, and have it go to sleep. So obviously, like, you know, this isn't something we're all used to. Yeah, thank you, Steimer. And I thought this was kind of cute. Xbox UK put out this really cute, like, silly tweet. How to switch the Xbox Series X from vertical to horizontal. And it's just like 2 photos of it standing vertically and then just one laying horizontally. But apparently they got some shit because they deleted it.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like honestly, like that's them taking a low blow. It's them punching down. It's like you don't need to put out your what you think is a snarky, funny tweet in response to PlayStation doing a teardown video. Clearly, the design and the shape of the PlayStation 5 requires a specific kind of holder. And like they shouldn't be making any jokes about it because the Xbox One X has a very specific stand and holder, whether you have it standing or laying down. You have to use their holder. And so whatever, Xbox, you did the same freaking thing. It may
I
not
don't
have
know
had
if
like a
people-
plug and like a spinny like screw, but like who cares? Is that really what you're gonna nitpick at? I'm glad people gave them shit. They
Yeah.
don't need to be petty. They don't
That
need
was-
to do
that
that
was
at
a lot.
all. And it hasn't been the way that they have responded to a lot of things. And I think it's disappointing that someone on their team was thinking that they were going to be clever. Like, take
Yeah.
the high road. Just always take the high
agree.
road.
Punch
It
it
was
classy.
cute. It was harmless, but I get it. Like when you're trying not to fuel the fires of console wars and et cetera, people will be like, "Oh, what's a low blow?" And if PlayStation were to do that to Xbox, Sony would be looked at the bad, evil villain. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, it's
I
just
don't
not
know,
a
'cause
brand
Sony
tone you
actually
particularly want.
did do that, like in the last generation. Like, here's how you share an Xbox, or here's how you share a Sony game.
Totally.
Like, they're
That-
literally
Yeah.
taking a page directly from Sony's book, but I understand that was a bit of a low blow, and I would like to see Xbox keep it classy. But I think the funnier one was, this is how you put expandable storage in an Xbox Series X, and they literally just plugged in the hard drive versus literally unscrewing things and like, again, stuff that I feel like is a little bit advanced for your average consumer. Because I know if I tried to unscrew my console and I was a kid, my mom would have freaked the fuck out.
No, I'm with you, Ree. I agree that it's not really approachable to the general consumer, but for the most part, I think the difference is that you're going to get a performance difference when you have an internally installed drive versus a USB connected drive. There's obviously somebody much more tech savvy is going to have the exact specifics and speed transfer, but having it on internally is always going to be a better performance than having it connected via a cable.
Oh, totally agree.
I have a question for one Christine Steimer from one Molly Bittner.
Oh, Molly, hi.
What does Steimer think of those fans?
I mean, from what I'm seeing right here, they look mighty big, which I'm very into. Make it quiet, please. Because my God, I mean, maybe I should vacuum my old PlayStation. I'm not sure, but no one's ever told me to do that before. I've never had to remove a side panel, so I haven't. But the point I was curious about or wanted to make was when PlayStation did those semi-antagonistic / passive-aggressive videos about, oh, here's how you share. I feel like those were more, I want to say culturally, but that's not really the word I'm looking for, communally accepted by gamers, because I felt Xbox had sort of tripped out of the gate on its own and was already kind of flailing a little bit and unsure of what it was doing. And everybody, we're all kind of mean. Let's just be real about it. We all do enjoy a good laugh at somebody who's kind of fucking it up already. And so like that was kind of what, it worked well in that sense. But PlayStation 5, I don't think has done anything to really warrant that. And I think a lot of people are still very pro PlayStation, especially after this last generation. So Xbox attempting to take hits at them is never going to come across well.
It just looks like Pepsi trying to take a shot at Coke.
Right.
Pepsi.
It's like, yo, like Pepsi, you clearly have an audience of dedicated fans and people love your product, but you do not have the worldwide domination that Coke does. And maybe you just say, we're cool with being second. Maybe our domination of the soda market will come. But until then, how about we just say, like, we're cool at coexisting?
It's not only that, but like you can be something slightly different. Even if basically your products are the same, you can have a different tone, you can have a different brand, and lean into those things versus trying to take shots at the other person. I think.
Ooh, wait, sorry to interrupt you. Keep talking, but heat sink, everybody.
Look at those. Look at that copper. Ooh,
at
it's
that
so pretty.
sexy
I wonder
thing.
how it'll tarnish over the years. It gets that like lovely green.
Oh, God. That patina.
That lovely. Yes, patina.
It
It is the word I'm looking for. Thank you. I just scrubbed my copper kettle the other day.
Get rid of that patina.
I did get rid of that patina.
Yeah, on a kettle, you don't really want patina.
No, but it also is like such a fine layer of copper that I've scrubbed part of it off at this point already. It's bullshit.
Wow.
Anyways.
Sorry for your
Apologies for interrupting you for heat sink, but I thought it was
No,
worth
the
looking
heat
at.
sink was very pretty. Actually, I was mighty impressed with it. All right, shall we?
Anywho, if you guys want to watch the full video, the PlayStation blog or the PlayStation YouTube channel has it, and there are plenty of people who have deep dived into every piece and component that was tore out of that PS5.
I will say I wouldn't necessarily judge the size of it based on that video either, just because perspective is everything. And
True.
We don't know, first of all, like the height of that person or the size of that person. So like, and that, or the relation to the camera. We don't know how the camera was set. So yes, in that video, it does look kind of comically large, but I feel like that could just be a play of the camera.
I feel like it is going to be comically large.
I mean, it could be.
large.
It could be. And I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying you cannot 100% say sure. Because like there were definitely videos, remember, perspective wise, you guys would always make me sit in the weirdest seat because you were like, you're the smallest.
Yes,
so you're
it's
going to look
it's
the
true.
largest.
It's
sit over
true.
there.
Yeah, it's true. She's
That's true. In
absolutely
the
right.
old studio, with the way that we kind of were in a little bit of a horseshoe shape, with the way that we had to sit because the space was so tight, whoever was on the farthest end always just looked bigger. They weren't bigger. They just looked bigger because of camera perspective. And so we're like, Steimer, you're the tiniest.
I had to
You
sit
have
over
to
there.
sit there.
So if
I
you're
always
curious,
get the most unflattering angle.
are
unflattering.
measurements of the PlayStation 5. It
Yeah.
is
Oh, yeah.
15.5 inches tall,
Mm.
10 inches deep, and
Mm.
4 inches wide.
Wait, did you say 15 and a half inches tall?
Yes.
15.4 inches
big.
tall. Right?
So my
Exaggerated
computer
by
is
10.
13 inches.
Yeah, so give that baby 2 more inches and you're in. That's what she said.
All right. Yeah, here-ish.
It's a tall boy.
It's tall.
Tall and thick, but that's
He's a
fine.
big kid.
Yeah. Ain't no thing. You can
Chicken
make
wing.
it fit horizontally, vertically.
I'm pretty
just
sure
do that
people did
screw.
the IKEA test and that it does not fit in one of the IKEA cubes.
Mm.
That's as much as I've seen.
Yeah, those things are like 10 by 10 or something, aren't they?
Yeah, they're pretty
They're
tight.
not that big.
Weren't they originally designed to fit records and then they made them smaller and a bunch of people around the world got very upset?
That sounds correct. That was
Yeah.
like me when I made that custom console and I was like, maybe, I did not design it for records, but then I tried to put them in there. I was like, no, I didn't measure this for this. This does not work.
Your vinyl's going to have to
Oops.
go somewhere
Vinyls
else.
are on the top bookshelf. It's fine.
Let's talk a little bit more about the PS5 before we move on. So the next story is PlayStation trophy levels getting updated. Confirmed to transfer to PS5. Do you want to read this one?
I did. I said I wanted to read it before we started the show.
Boom. There you go.
And so now I'm going to read it. She already gave you the headline.
I'm so
So
excited.
now I'm
that
going to read you the meat.
Oh.
All right, Sony, everybody, is changing up its PlayStation trophy system a little bit by increasing the trophy level range from its current 1 to 100 to 1 to, oh my God, 999.
What?
Woof! And it has confirmed that all previous trophies will carry over to the PS5, just as they have for previous console generations. If they didn't, I swear to God, there would have been a revolt. So good job. As detailed on the PlayStation blog, this update will be out starting, quote, later tonight in North America and tomorrow in Europe. And your trophy level will be automatically remapped to a new level within this new range, based on the trophies you've earned to date. Wait, does that mean your trophies will get smaller? So if your current trophy level is 12, for example, oh wait, no, it will jump. Oh, it goes up. That's always the best. For example, it will now jump up to somewhere in the low 200s. The exact level will depend on the number and grades of trophies you've acquired. Also, there will be no changes to the trophies already earned or trophy information, such as unlock requirements. In addition to the change to trophy levels, there will also be a new trophy levels calculation system that is more optimized and rewarding. Early levels will be easier to progress through, and levels will increase more consistently. Furthermore, platinum trophies will be worth more, making them even more valuable than before. The trophy level icon on PlayStation 5, as well as the PlayStation app at a later date, will also be getting an upgrade. Currently, the trophies icon is a single star, but soon there will be more variants and ways to show off your accomplishments. Whoops. And then it's an image that I can't read to you because that's not how images work. But there are pretty pictures here. And essentially, go check out your trophies and see if you've bumped up to something that sounds way cooler than mine is like 10 or 12 or something. I don't know. So
I have
now
no idea
apparently
what
I'll be
mine is.
somewhere in the low 200s.
Hey!
Yeah.
Inflation, everybody. That's how it works.
You gotta love it. Appreciate it.
You know, I don't care about this at all.
no,
Same.
no.
I did it, but like I am glad that I got those few platinums that I have. I did sound
Yeah.
shapes on every platform.
No, I know this
wow.
is a huge deal to a lot of people. To that, I am very happy and excited for you. I've never been a trophy hunter or Chivo chaser or whatever those terms are. But, you know, you do you,
Chivos.
baby girls and baby boys. You do you.
I was
Yeah.
there briefly, very briefly. Thank God it was brief. Because I don't
Thank
want to know
God
who
it
I
was
would be
That's
today.
what she said.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I'm glad that I fall in and out of things fairly quickly.
Keep going, Cameron. Keep going. We're on a roll,
Fun.
baby.
Okay.
Rock and fucking roll. Let's go, Andrea.
Well, on that note, let's move on to our next story. But before we do that, I want to let you know that this episode of What's Good Games is brought to you by Tile. We all know someone who is constantly losing their stuff. If it's you, you're not alone. Spoilers, it's me. The average person wastes 15 minutes a day trying to find their stuff. Honestly, I'm shocked. That's not as much time as I thought because I waste far more time looking for my stuff. But thankfully, now I've got Tile in my life. If you're like me and you're constantly misplacing your keys, your wallet, your cell phone, and you've never considered getting Tile for your life, well, I have some news for you. It's all changed because Tile is here to help you. Tile is a Bluetooth device that helps you keep track of your stuff. It comes in sleek and compact sizes that can attach to your keys, fit in your wallet like a credit card, or you can also use it on personal bags. There's even a Tile sticker that you can put on your remote control for when it inevitably is going to end up under the couch or between the cushions. So you might be wondering, how does Tile work? All you have to do is download the free Tile app to your phone. If you've misplaced or can't find something, just open the app and tap Find. Tile will ring your device, leading you right to your stuff. Now, here's something that can be super handy and helpful. You're like, but Andrea, what if it's my phone that I've lost and I need to find my phone? Well, if you know where your device is that has your Tile on it, good news, you can find that device, hit the Tile, and then boom, it's going to ring your phone. Right? Listen, I thought that this was genius too, because the first time I heard about Tile, I was like, but I lose my phone constantly, but I don't lose my keys constantly. So if I know where my keys are, boom, I can find my phone, right? It's genius. And something that's also super handy and helpful is that if you can't find your phone because your phone is on silent, Tile will supersede your silence settings and ring anyway, which of course is incredibly helpful. Plus, did I mention that Tile comes in super fun colors? They have limited editions also available that you can get in fun prints. I personally got the Malibu Sunset print because now that I'm back in Los Angeles, it had a very kind of LA vibe and I love it, but they have lots of different styles to choose from if you want to really customize and personalize the thing that is going to be attached to your device or be in your wallet. So if you guys are thinking, boy, I could really use some help not losing my devices, get a limited edition Tile for yourself and everyone who's always losing their stuff by going to tile.com/what's good to shop the limited edition collection right now. That's TILE.com/what's good for fun, one-of-a-kind exclusive designs. And you might want to head there sooner than you think because the really cool ones go super fast and you don't want to miss out on your opportunity to get one. Get yours today at tile.com/what's good. All right, Brittany, do you want to read this story or do you want to be read this story?
I want to be read
Like a
this story in
bedtime story.
sultry voice that Ree can muster.
Okay.
I
got
was
you.
thinking the exact same thing.
All right.
Sing
I'm
it to
gonna
us.
probably gonna slay a couple of these names in a bad way.
Britt's
Better
here
try
to help
me.
you.
All right. Resident Evil reboot. We have Kaya Scodelario, Robbie Amell, Hannah John Kamen, Neil McDonough, and more to star in the origin story adaptation. And this comes from Deadline. And then I think we have a link to the cast of the photos we can show.
Yes, I will pull those up.
I know who Robbie
Sweet.
Amell is.
Yeah, we know that guy. So Constantine
I
Film
don't in real life,
has
but-
set in motion a new adaptation to add to that never ever expanding Resident Evil movie franchise. Constantine and writer director Johannes Roberts said Tuesday that they have conceived an official origin story adaptation with faithful ties to the Capcom's classic survival horror games. This story is set in 1998 on a fateful night in Raccoon City. Starring the roles of the iconic game characters will be Maze Runner's Kaya Scodelario as Claire Redfield, alongside Hannah John Kamen from Ant-Man and the Wasp, as Jill Valentine, Robbie Amell from Upload as Chris Redfield, and Tom Hopper from the Umbrella Academy as Albert Wesker, Avon Jogia from Zombieland Double Tap as Leon S. Kennedy, and Neil McDonough from Yellowstone as William Birkin. Quote, with this movie, I really wanted to go back to the original first two games and recreate the terrifying, visceral experience I had when I first played them, whilst at the same time telling a grounded human story about a small, dying American town that feels both relatable and relevant to today's audiences. And this is from Roberts, who is a filmmaker behind the shark thriller 47 Meters Down and its sequel. Franchise producer Robert Kolzer said, after a dozen games, 6 live-action movies, and hundreds of pages of fan fiction, we felt compelled to return to the year 1998 to explore the secrets hidden in the walls of the Spencer Mansion and Raccoon City. How's Britt doing? Is she okay?
Are you ready to party like it's 1998, Brittany?
Hold on. Wait for it.
Yeah, I think she is. That's
Wait for
that's
it.
how I'm ready to party face.
I'm just ready to party. Yeah. So got a lot of questions about this, but I'll kick it off from Mr. Yasman. He asks, what do you think about the cast of the new film? And are you worried about the film being directed by the director of 47 Meters Down, which I've heard aren't good films? I like
I've
the
not
cast,
seen
but
those. Have you?
No,
I haven't.
this is Mr. Yasman. I like the cast, but main problem besides the director and the production company is that it looks like they're going to combine the first 2 games into one film, and I don't know if I'm going to trust the filmmakers that they are going to do the story justice. Mr. Yasman and I also talked about the Yakuza movie. He has more of a pessimistic point of view than I do. But Mr. Yasman, I will say what I said to you about that. Just manage your expectations and keep an open mind.
You are one of the most positive of the bunch here. I'll say though.
Yeah,
Brittany.
you know, I got it. Someone has to be.
It's a good thing about you. Good quality.
Thank you, Steimer. Appreciate that. Some sugar and some salt. Good
Yeah.
combination.
It is.
It is. So what's exciting about this, if you look through each paragraph, there's something exciting in all of it. It's an official origin story adaptation with faithful ties to Capcom's classic survival horror games. You take that combined with we want to explore the secrets hidden in the walls of the Spencer Mansion and Raccoon City, and the fact that we have Chris, Claire, Leon, Jill, Albert, Wesker, and William Birkin. So all those characters are from Resident Evil 1 through 3. Where it gets kind of weird, though, is that Resident Evil 1 takes place about 2 months before Resident Evil 2 and 3. We're going to get in the weeds here. So Resident Evil 2 and 3...
saying that, actually, yeah.
Yeah. So Resident Evil 2 and 3 essentially take place on the same day. There's a lot of crossover there. Essentially. And Resident Evil 1 is 2 months before all of that. So the fact that it sounds like they're going to be combining this, because when he says the secret's hidden in the walls of the Spencer Mansion, that is the primary setting for Resident Evil 1. So I understand the concern where it sounds like they're going to be trying to combine the storylines, which doesn't make a lot of sense if you look at it from the canon perspective, but it does sound like this is an origin story adaptation with faithful ties. So things are probably going to get a little weird because Jill is also in Resident Evil 1 and she's also in Resident Evil 3. And obviously she has very different roles in both of those games. So how they're going to like make this work, I have no idea, but I think it's just another cool Resident Evil thing to be excited about that we have coming up.
We have the Netflix. Be a consultant on it.
I think I should too. I have thoughts and opinions about this franchise. You can hire me. Just
that's the biggest understatement I've ever heard.
Yeah, no, like, because when you're talking about timelines, I'm like, I don't know, maybe they can make it work. It seems fine, and then you're like, but then she plays a different role. I'm like, oh, maybe I don't know.
Yeah, no.
Ask Brittany; she will tell you.
Because Resident Evil 1 is where they first kind of explore these strange disappearances and gruesome murders, and that's when the STARS team discovers what's actually happening in the Spencer estate. And then 2 months later is when the outbreak actually hits Raccoon City, because Raccoon City is the mansion. Anyway, the timeline's all wonky. Unless they do a thing where it's like the first 20 minutes is telling the story and then it goes to here, blah, blah, blah. Who knows? But like I said, you know, we have the Resident Evil CG film, we have the live action film with Wesker's daughters, and we have Resident Evil Village coming out. So, hey, it's exciting.
And,
it's a good time.
So much.
I'm a big fan of Robbie.
I don't know who any of those people are. So I also got a lot of questions like from, is it Javin Mather? I hope it's Javin. What would Britt's dream casting be for a Resident Evil movie or series? I don't know. I don't watch movies. Everyone here knows that. I couldn't tell you one actor from another. So I don't have like a dream team.
You don't know.
Yeah.
It's okay if you don't know. It's okay to just say, you know what? Let me think about that and get back to you, Javin.
Oh, I'm not going to think about it.
Or just be like, I'm just not going to. And
I'm not going to because it would be a waste of everyone's time. Yeah, exactly.
Or that.
Yeah. And then Nova asks, do you feel a tinge of excitement after the cast and story reveal for Resident Evil movie reboot? To me, it actually feels like they got people on the project who actually care about the game story and setting. And yeah, obviously, I'm excited, obviously. And like you said, it is good to know that the franchise producer said that they did play the games. Or was it the director? One of them played the games. So yeah, while I think the other Resident Evil films were fine, I mean, again, set proper expectations, I think it's going to be really interesting to see what they do now that they're actually sticking to
a storyline.
Yeah. And how it's going to translate over. Very cool. Get excited. Choo-choo hype train.
Woo, woo. Choo-choo. Choo-choo. Hype. All right. Well, that leads us to the end of our news segment. And for funsies, we thought it'd be cool to just kind of wrap up with a couple of quick hit news items that happen to be all Nintendo related.
Nintendo.
So if you guys missed it, earlier this week, a drop for the Super Mario line on BlackMilk went live, and we talked about this when they announced it. And if you're into fashion of the femme variety,
Oh, I like the star dress. That's cute.
yeah, they have a lot
So
of cute
cute.
stuff that you can check out, but they also announced the Animal Crossing collab, which is going to be happening. So this is super fun as well. So if you guys want to showcase your love for either Animal Crossing or Super Mario Brothers, you may want to check out the BlackMilk line. And there was also 2 more announcements. The confirmation that Super Nintendo World is going to be happening in 2021. Sorry about the ad there, everybody. So this is an old trailer for Super Nintendo World. Obviously, this is going to be debuting in Japan. There's one supposed to be happening at Universal Studios in Orlando. But because of the COVID-19 pandemic, it has been delayed worldwide. But what they did today was confirm that they're like, come hell or high water, we're going to open in 2021. And they revealed some of the food items that you're going to be able to try when you go to Super Nintendo World. So let me show you.
What about
guys.
that pink tulle dress?
I
Mess
mean,
with
if
that.
they sold that dress in a shop,
In that BlackMilk shop?
Yeah,
So
some of
much
the
of that
items-
stuff is capped already. Like I just noticed
I
the 2 things I got are already capped.
the pre-sale was capped,
Yeah.
but you can still order those things in select sizes.
Yeah.
But the
Are those
food,
tacos?
I don't honestly
No,
know.
those
what
okay.
these-
So what those are pancake sandwiches.
What?
what?
Yeah. So we're looking at some photos, ladies and gentlemen, of some of the themed cafes and other stores they're going to be having. And yeah, some of the food they're showcasing are these Mario and Luigi pancake sandwiches. And the pancakes
They
are
look like
the hats.
tacos, but filled with whipped cream.
Yeah. The
Oh
taco
my
shells
God.
are their hats. One has an M, one has an L, one's red, one's green. Who would have said?
I
And
just really
Mario's
want
has
these
like
photos to be bigger. I apologize to everybody watching.
fine. Mario's pancake sandwich has strawberries and cream, and it says "Who's cap?" That's a Cappy joke. Luigi says "Okie dokie," and there's some
Okie
green fruit and cream. I'm not sure what exactly is going on.
Yeah, I don't know what those fruits are.
There's
if it's
a super,
apple or lime, I'm
yeah, I
I'm
don't
into
know.
it.
A super mushroom drink in a tropical bottle and a must-dashed fruit cream soda.
Is
So
any of
little
that
cups.
alcoholic?
That'd be great if it was.
Bring your own flask to Super Nintendo
Yeah,
World.
Hopefully.
It just looks really cute. And the stores obviously look all Mario-y on the inside. All the chairs look like little toadstools. And I don't know. This is going to be my happy place.
Yeah, no, I'm ready. We're definitely gonna have to do a What's Good Games field trip to Super Nintendo World in Orlando when it finally opens.
Please, COVID,
100%.
go away and never return.
Go away, Rona.
Yeah.
No one likes you.
No one likes you, Rona.
We all
like
voted,
you.
and you're the worst.
Get out of here, girl.
Please
Take a
leave.
hint, okay?
Yeah.
If only Rona would take a hint. All right, our last piece of Nintendo news was this little news blurb that dropped this week about Nintendo Treehouse spotlighting Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, and then a little bit more info about Pikmin 3.
This is the Nintendo and Koei Tecmo Warriors spinoff. So it's like Hyrule Warriors, but it's called Age of Calamity because it takes place 100 years before Breath of the Wild. So yeah, so what's gonna be really interesting about this game is it's gonna show and deep dive into some of the characters, and we're gonna see like personal interactions and hear a little bit more about their backstory. So that's why, from a narrative perspective, this is cool. But the showcase today, the Nintendo Treehouse showed Urbosa's style of fighting. It showed Zelda. It showed Link fighting a little bit. Young Impa. It showed that there's going to be hidden Koroks and that the weapons won't break. They announced that the weapons won't break in this game.
Yes.
And showed a little bit of the map and the weapon upgrade system. And it actually looks really good. I mean, I didn't like the first Hyrule Warriors primarily because the multiplayer was really bad. Someone had to play on the Wii U gamepad and someone could play on the TV. It was like the way they designed it. Why they did that, I don't know. Nintendo, go to Nintendo. But this looks really fun and the gameplay looks great. And some of the places that they visited, you get to see Lun Lun Ranch. You get to see all the locations essentially from Breath of the Wild before the shit hit the fan. So most of these villages are intact. The buildings aren't all destroyed. You get to see some fun throwbacks to games like an Ocarina of Time, Lun Lun Ranch, for example. You see the same buildings and the little sheds, and it looks good. It looks fun. Look at Zelda kicking ass.
Zelda out here making her keep, man. Ooh,
Yeah.
look at that.
So she uses primarily her Sheikah Slate abilities, which every character has access to, but hers are a little bit more epic. Like her bomb, for example, is like a walking bomb that spits out mini bombs, and it's pretty cool. Yeah. I think this is going to be fun. This actually comes out November 20th, and Pikmin comes out October 30th. So these are two. I mean, I think this game's much bigger than Pikmin 3 personally. But yeah, Nintendo has some stuff up their sleeve, which is nice.
It's interesting that they're choosing to focus on this game because I think a lot of people were hoping for an update on what's happening with Breath of the Wild 2. Not to say that we need like a full gameplay reveal or anything like that. Clearly, this game isn't going to be happening until 2021 at the earliest, but it would have been nice to get like a teaser or something in conjunction with this Hyrule Warriors announcement, and this is a little bit of a wah-wah.
The only thing we got when this game was announced, I feel like that was, a month ago, a few weeks ago, was they said, yeah, sorry, we know what you really want. Just please be patient.
What you really, really want.
Yeah.
But
so
we can't give that to you yet, so take this other thing. Thanks, bye.
Yeah, I think this will be good. It'll be a little good tie over. It'll suffice.
This is an appetizer to the main course.
Yeah. Exactly. Look at Urbosa kicking ass too. Oh, she got the hack and slash, the lightning.
Look at her little shield. She's like, bitches, I will spin and kill you.
If you want to see the gameplay that we're referring to, of course, youtube.com/whatsgoodgames, or you can go to the Nintendo YouTube account as well. But Britt, did you spend a lot of time with Hyrule Warriors? This doesn't typically feel like your style of game, and please tell me if I'm inaccurate there.
No, you're not wrong. No, I played, like I said, a little bit of the first one back when it was on Wii U. But the problem with the Wii U is this is the kind of game I think I could only play in multiplayer because it's just more entertaining to play with someone. But someone had to play on the Wii U gamepad, and then someone could play on the TV. And so as you can imagine, that didn't work very well. Jason was playing on the Wii U gamepad because, of course, he was. And I had the nice, big, shiny TV. But his gameplay on
his role.
Absolutely. His gameplay on the gamepad was really laggy. It didn't look very good. I mean, it was the Wii U gamepad, right? So I played it. It was fun. But the reason I'm more interested in this one is because of, again, it's going to expand on the story of Breath of the Wild. We're going to get a deeper dive into characters like Urbosa and the relationship she had with Zelda and Zelda's relationship with these folks. And that's, I think, where the excitement comes from for me.
Those hips, though.
Oh, yeah.
They don't lie.
Tonight, my hips don't lie. I'm starting to feel you, boy.
You gotta do the booby dance thing she does.
I can't do that.
Yeah, that's really difficult for most people.
Yeah, Ree, you can do that.
Moving your chest.
It hurts my back. It hurts the middle back a lot.
It requires you to have a little mass up there, which I personally don't have.
It looks like you're pulling it off.
Gyrating to high heavens. Look at you.
Yeah, no, it ain't working for me. But that's...
Again, youtube.com/whatsgoodgames.
You're missing out on some quality content if you've never checked out the video version of this podcast. But on that note, let's take our first break of the show. When we come back, we have a deep dive into the hands-on time that both Rihanna and myself got with Watch Dogs Legions. We'll get a little teaser preview from Brittany on Baldur's Gate 3. So stick with us. We'll be right back. How is everybody doing? Everybody good?
Good.
That's her husky.
Sounds
I
like
was doing great.
I'm doing fantastic.
Should I get you a bottle of water?
No.
Okay, I won't.
Why?
How dare you?
You know what? Fuck water. Hey everybody, it's time for our weekly announcements. And thankfully, we don't have too many, but Britt, Lights Off has been something freaking else.
Oh man, we've been playing some real freaking gems. It started off with Pacify, Five Nights at Freddy's, Phasmophobia was last week, and who knows what's in store next Monday, ladies and gentlemen. But if you want to watch, 6 p.m. twitch.tv/whatsgoodgames on Monday. I mean, it's pretty fucking scary.
How long do you guys play for? I'm curious.
It depends on the game. We generally play a minimum of 2 hours. We almost played for 4 hours this last week because I think we're trying to have success and get the most amount of dollars possible in Phasmophobia. But boy, that game doesn't feel like it's going to be scary, but it really, really was.
All the atmosphere building in that game. And to our credit, Andrea, we did complete all the objectives. I mean, you died at the end. But
I died every time. Every top
Yeah,
was
you did.
me.
She did. Yeah,
Oh,
her
rip.
sanity wasn't as high as mine.
But the
Into it.
good news is that we raised a little bit more for our friends at Able Gamers, and we look forward to doing some continued fundraising for them. If you guys did not know, we are helping our friend Steve Spawn reach his 40th birthday goal of $1 million raised. Our team goal for What's Good Games is $5,000. We're currently sneezing at $2,600, which is very exciting. So I feel like I'm going to have to up the ante. Gonna
Ooh.
add in some rewards for the streams coming up. And if you missed the announcement, we have confirmed our Monday, October 26th stream with zombie kills in Dead by Daylight.
Oh, yes.
Oh, snap.
So, Bree, if you want to get
Okay.
in on that action, you let me know.
You guys have been wanting to pull me. You're like, it's after work. It's 6 p.m. Whatever on a Monday, and I'm like, you're gonna need to pitch me on the game itself.
How
that we're
about
playing.
I bribe you with Mario ice cream cake?
Mm.
Oh, that would do it. Yeah. Yeah.
This is
cold stone
not
cake?
bad because the cold might counteract the sweat.
The sweating.
Exactly. You get sweaty, I feed you ice cream cake. Boom.
That's such a stupid idea.
The
I love it.
more scared you get, the more ice cream
More
cake
cake.
you get to eat.
And you're
You
burning
know
the
what?
calories. so.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yes!
Right? Like I'm burning calories from
Good
being
job, Andrea, you
scared.
did it.
Exactly.
So just get fat with me.
Join us, twitch.tv/whatsgoodgames. Hit that follow button. And don't forget, if you have Amazon Prime, you have Prime Gaming, and you can use that free sub every month for What's Good Games. Welcome back, everybody. It's the second segment of the What's Good Games podcast, where we talk about what we've been playing. And this week, it is brought to you by Upstart. During these economically turbulent times, everyone is looking for a way to feel more financially secure. So if you're still needlessly throwing money every month at high-interest credit card debt, it's time that you checked out Upstart, the revolutionary online lending platform that knows you're more than just your credit score. Now is the time to find out just how low your Upstart rate can be to help you pay off those high-interest credit card debts that you've been hanging on to. Unlike other lenders, Upstart can reward you based on your education, your job history, and the form of a smarter rate. And you don't even need a degree or a diploma to apply. Upstart lets you skip going to the bank because it's completely online, so you know you'll feel safe when you check out their rates. They offer loans from $1,000 to $50,000, so you can consolidate your debt into one easy fixed rate payment. Upstart makes it fast and simple to check your rate. Since it's just a soft pull, it's not going to affect your credit score because we know that a lot of times people are concerned about that, so you don't have to worry about going to Upstart. The hard pull, though, will happen if your rate is accepted and you decide to proceed with your application. Them's just the way that business works. The best part, though, you guys, is that if your loan is approved and accepted, most people get their funds the very next business day, so you can get to managing your money quickly. Over 400,000 people have used Upstart to pay off credit cards to meet their financial goals. Free yourself from the burden of high-interest credit card debt and get back to using your money your way with Upstart. See why Upstart has a 4.9 out of 5 rating on Trustpilot. That is crazy. Can we just talk for a second about the fact that they have a 4.9 out of 5 stars? That means a lot of people really like their services. You have to go to upstart.com/whatsgood and you can find out how low your rate can be. Checking your rate only takes a few minutes, and if you want to help support what we do here at What's Good Games, you need to go to upstart.com/whatsgood. Your loan amount will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided in your loan application. Not all applicants will qualify for the full amount. Last week, Riana and I had the opportunity to check out Watch Dogs Legion. Thank you to Ubisoft for inviting us to their online virtual preview event where we both got some hands-on time with the game. And we sunk probably, 4 or 5 hours in with the game? Is that about right?
Yeah, it was a solid demo. Got a lot of time with it.
And
really
I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about what was different from what we saw this time from what we saw last time. So, Reed, let's start with you because
Yeah.
I spoke a lot about my previous hands-on experience with Watch Dogs and how much I really liked it. So I'm going to pull up some of my B-roll, but we're going to listen to your thoughts. So What did you think about your time with Watch Dogs?
So this was my first time getting hands-on with Watch Dogs Legion, so I may have a slightly different take, but the way the experience worked is we started off with the beginning of the storyline where we are playing as, I forget his name, an agent, and he's being called to answer this really specific, I don't want to give out too much. He's being called to do some secret agent stuff, and then oops, something goes wrong, and we need to use some other people to help fight this problem. So again, without giving too much of the story away, it's really a typical video game intro where you start off with all the bells and whistles, and then they bring you back down to base level, and you have to learn how to do everything with a new character. And what I really loved was the customization. Ridiculous amount of customization. I played and my playthrough as a Black woman with a short curly fro, which, as you know, is super identifiable for me. And she had the bomb outfit and really cool glasses. And I immediately loved watching this character run around the world and just do crazy stuff. And the first mission that I did was actually a side quest where I got to go into a fighting ring and beat up a bunch of people in order to recruit the top tier fighter. And what was interesting about these fighting challenges as you're going out to recruit more people to join your team is that once you get to the final fighter, they have some kind of quirk. Either they get up a second round and they're stronger, or in my case, they actually call in 3 additional fighters to take you on once they've been downed. And because I beat them, because I was actually pretty good at the fighting stuff, I got to recruit all 4 of them at the same time. So it's really interesting because there's a lot of opportunities to play with the recruiting mechanics depending on who you interact with and how you do during those challenges that sort of throw you a curveball. And it was really unexpected because we've all played open world games. We've all done things where we're recruiting folks to our party. But this was an interesting twist. And I'm looking forward to seeing how they played with that expectation in other ways as well. The other thing that I really loved about my playthrough in particular is that I did an entire section playing as a granny.
Yes,
and
Golden Girls playthrough.
Yay, Granny Squad. Granny Squad.
It was great because, as you know, each type of character has a different set of attributes, right? If you play as a construction worker, they have access to different areas, like they can walk on construction sites and not be flagged as suspicious, for instance. But playing as the granny,
don't be suspicious.
Don't be suspicious.
Exactly.
Playing as the granny, I had a few disadvantages that were really fun to work around. So first of all, she can't run.
Yeah.
She was real slow.
Your hips hurt.
Yeah, she was, she had on little orthopedics, it was tough. But she could parkour a little but not over everything. So there was one particular moment where I had to climb something and like get an vantage point in order to, I think, sabotage a banner in order to put the, our paraphernalia and our propaganda over the big bad's propaganda. Mm-hmm. And the way I had to work around her lack of parkour skills was really interesting. And my particular solve was I used one of the spider bots and actually threw it to the place where I needed to go rather than having her jump there. But it is possible that you would unlock a drone or some other navigation tech, or you would improve your hacking skills so you can do it from a remote distance. And it's interesting because there's a lot of problem solving. Yeah, that's exactly it. The little spider bot that I used.
Spider bot does whatever a spider bot does.
So it's interesting because it seems as though, yes, there are certain advantages to playing certain types of characters for different story missions or even side missions, but there's always a way. And it kind of dug into that puzzle solving itch that I have with a lot of games, where it's now my goal to play almost every mission with the least optimal type of character just to see how to do it. And it's making the game more and more interesting to me the more I play it. So I'm really looking forward to getting another hands-on session with it.
Oh, that's an interesting take. You want to play the least optimal character.
Just to see how I can do it,
No, that's fair. I admire you. I'd be like, nope, beef me up.
Also, I took out like 5 squads of policemen with that granny.
I just feel like it would feel more like an accomplishment when you successfully take things down and you're like,
yeah,
you know what? I may be older, but I'm not out. And I can still wreak havoc on this town and do what I gotta do. And maybe I can't do it physically myself, but I've got this little robot friend who will do it for me.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of robot potential. The demo leader that I was actually working with mentioned that there are some pretty wackadoodle characters you can recruit. One being a beekeeper who has a fleet of bees that can electrocute
bees?
people.
Electric
Or
they're-
like fake bees, like
they're-
electronic bees.
I don't know if they're like electronic bees or if they're bees with some sort of like electromagnetism.
Oh, fuck
and
that
Okay,
shit.
they have to be
No,
fake
no,
bees.
no.
some
Like,
genetic
real bees
stuff
don't
going
have
on.
electromagnetic powers.
That's
If they did, I
true.
would not live on this
It's
planet.
probably an army of robot
Brett's
bees.
like, I would nope out of Earth real quick.
I don't really
mean,
need
I
another
don't know.
Ethan, but there's one.
I
In
love
real
that
life,
Reed's
that
still
sounds
like, I don't know,
awful.
maybe it's real. Maybe there's somewhere where there's a hive with electromagnetic bees.
Here's the thing. At this point, anything is possible in 2020.
There
That's
are murder hornets; those exist, but it's
Sadly,
not
yes.
electromagnetic sort
No.
of stuff.
Well, in the game, it sounds cool. In real life, I would prefer that one to not be.
No, that's
true.
like a Black Mirror episode. I think they actually have bees like that are fake bees that are
yeah.
robot
I'm sure
bees.
it's in a Michael Crichton novel somewhere.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm super glad that we had this conversation about bees, but I think what the real important
No, you're
part that you
not.
touched on is that there's a bunch of different types of characters, right? So some of my gameplay that we're seeing on screen again at youtube.com/what'sgoodgames looks at individual characters. And so this is what I was mentioning the last time I played the game about how I think this is probably the most ambitious game that we've ever seen from Ubisoft Studios, is that you can literally look at any NPC in the world and you can have these conversations. Like my character here is like, you know what? I saw that he was a hacker. So I was like, how about I try to recruit you? And then you talk to them and you get to have a one-on-one with them. You get to find out a little bit about their life, and then you'll get a mission that you need to go on that you have to fulfill in order to add them to your team. And what I think is really phenomenal about that is that it really allows you to have a 100% unique playthrough for you. And very few games that have ever existed can say that your playthrough is unique. A lot of them have a lot of fancy marketing talk around the way that the games all differ, but this game is truly going to be 100% your experience because you're going to recruit completely random people, right? And I think it's going to be interesting to have those water cooler moments after the game comes out, like who was on your team,
Yeah.
what kind of missions did you do, what kind of people did you recruit, because there's obviously some big archetypes like Rihanna mentioned. The construction worker is one of the more popular ones because you need them for specific missions. And Simer's doing the YMCA dance.
I mean, the construction worker. How could I not do the YMCA dance?
YMCA.
You know, you got that. You got the golden. Okay, you've got the YMCA. You got the golden girl. What else you got?
You can see here as I'm like highlighting over people, you can see what their benefits are, what some of their pros and cons are, the type of person that they'll be, if they'll be helpful for your team or not. And you really want to decide, like, do I want a rounded out team? You know, do I want people that are going to be more, you know, sneaky and stealth savvy, or maybe I want to go with a squad that is more like brute force and has better guns and perks that, you know, are beneficial in firefights. And you really kind of have to decide for yourself, like what kind of mission and what kind of style of DedSec operative you wanna be. But I
So
think
you-
that. Sorry, go ahead, Brittany.
Question. If you are looking for a specific kind of character, is there any way to filter where they'll be at, or do you just have to kind of explore the big wide world and try to find them?
I didn't see a filter of any kind, unfortunately.
You're like, they look
Yeah.
like they're hobbling. I'll go find them.
Yeah.
That's my
I
grandma.
mean, you can spot a
character.
granny pretty easily.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
other than that,
The
I think you
construction
do
worker,
have
maybe
to
they'll have the
kinda-
helmet on to help you. But anybody
Yeah.
else, you might
Yeah.
just need to scan them. Look at this
I
little
guess
boat.
so.
Oh yeah, I picked
Oh.
up this boat and just like went across the river.
That's
and
a
was like,
fucking fancy ass boat.
but this is what's so exciting to me about this game. It's like
Stealing shit.
No, it's like this
Yeah.
idea that I was running across the river and I can just jump in this boat and move across. And I know that there's a lot of open world games that have done that, but I can't impress upon you guys enough just how wild it is, the amount of assets that are being loaded into the game that fully are loaded in. Like I wasn't experiencing like pop-in or tearing or anything like that. And I cannot wait to see how this game performs on the next gen consoles or on
Oh,
PC
sheesh, yeah.
and really kind of take a look at it. But okay, so I did this slow pan.
So the River Thames.
So my
That's a
gameplay
big
now
map.
at youtube.com/what'sgoodgames is showing the map. So I
It's-
intentionally did a slow pan to show you guys that like my one criticism from my playtime before was that there was still too much map fatigue. There's too much on the map. There's too many icons. And I intentionally did a slow pan in my gameplay to show everybody that, like, gosh darn it, I really am excited about this game, but why?
But
why are you giving me so many things to do?
Wait, can we find, because you had the city of Westminster up there, can we find the place we did our meet and greet at?
Probably.
Oh my gosh, maybe?
It was in Westminster, yeah?
Yeah, I'm trying to like scroll back on my gameplay.
Like, I do think
That's
this
a good
game will
map.
be fun, but even you just scrolling around looking at that map, I instantly felt a tiny bit of dread, existential dread creep up into my gut.
It's definitely I will say I played darts the first thing that I did once I got out of the the meeting room, and I nailed it first try.
Hell yeah, you did. You're a badass.
Dude,
well, then
but
maybe you don't need to
darts-
judge me for winning in 19 throws, okay?
That was really good. It was pretty good. But no, I will say about the map, the subway system is your fast travel. So once you've cleared the fog of war and you find a subway, you can fast travel through certain points, which does help a little bit.
Yeah.
Traversal is not bad. You can get into any vehicle. The tank is my favorite. Second favorite is the Vespa. And running around and causing havoc in any of the vehicles is a lot of fun. The vehicles feel very unique and different from one another. And the driving mechanics are pretty solid. The shooting is pretty solid too. Honestly, I felt it was fairly tight. Especially since shooting is not the main way that you're going to fight in this game, or at least not the main way you'll complete your objectives. I was very impressed with that. But moving around the city didn't feel like it took very long. So it is big, but it is easily traversed, even on foot and using fast travels.
Ooh.
It was only maybe like less than a minute to get to any objective that I needed to in my short gameplay.
Something else that I wanted to mention was the gadgets and the upgrades, because clearly the gadgets are a big part of the Watch Dogs franchise and always have been. And while I appreciate that Ree was like, hey, I really liked the gunplay, the gadgets are clearly the star here, because the idea is that you're not really supposed to be shooting a bunch of people up. You're supposed to be stealthing and sneaking your way in with all of your high-tech gadgets, because you're supposed to be a snazzy hacker, right? And so there's a lot of really fun gadgets that you can use. And the way that they've done the gadget system this time around, they've, much like past games, they're tying it to these points that you get by collecting them in world, but there's expanded options this time. And I really like that because it allows each individual player to say, hey, I want to play this way. So one of the things that I upgraded first was the ability to cloak all of the bodies that I knock out, which is great. Because when you take a body down and you knock somebody out, even if you do it non-lethally, somebody could
There's
stumble
still a
across
body
it.
there. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, so it's called a
hey.
shroud ability. So when you unlock the shroud ability, you basically like cloak their body as it's like passed out on the ground. And I was like, yes, this is
Take
the
a
best.
nap into the abyss.
Oh
Yeah,
my God.
pretty much. And so I think that they're really giving people a bunch of tools to customize their experience, whether it's the gadgets you unlock, the way you customize the look and feel of your character, who you recruit to be on your team, and ultimately how much of the open world you explore and how many of the boroughs that you set free. I love that they are thinking about individual experience. My critique that I've always had with this game remains the same, is that I don't think they've edited it down enough. I don't think they've made it a concise enough experience. I think that they got very excited about all of their own ideas, of which there are many very good ones, but they need to edit it down to make it more cohesive, because I think what we get to in this day and age is something I suffer from a lot: analysis paralysis. There's so many things for me to choose from that I cannot choose.
It's fair.
No, just
Yeah.
me? I'm
No,
alone?
no,
No,
you're
with
not.
you.
You're definitely
We're
not alone.
nodding.
You are not an island.
We're nodding.
This is a thing that I like. Even with smaller-ish games like Ghost of Tsushima that we just played, I didn't do everything on that map because I looked at it and I was like, nope. Whoa. Like,
Where do I
there's
start?
a lot of
That's
things
too
to
many
do.
sword kits, sir.
There's too
Too
many things for me to do, and like I technically probably have time for this, but I don't have the mental capacity for it.
Totally.
And that's the difference. And I think that is definitely my worry with this game, and not just this game, but any major open world games. I even am slightly worried about this with Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just
Absolutely.
I do worry about getting in there and just feeling overwhelmed and feeling like, but I think that's where the game really does need to pull you in a way where you stop thinking, you stop overthinking, and you just start playing and you enjoy and you run around and you do whatever you feel like doing in that moment, and like try to enjoy being present versus looking at the game like a checklist. But I do think that's actually difficult for a lot of open world games to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I 100% agree.
100% as well.
We have a question from Benjamin Pin. Did you ladies pay any attention to the music at all? Because we have a question about that.
So we actually had to turn the music options off in our playthrough in order to make sure that we didn't trigger any content ID. And
Because it's licensed? Also
yes,
licensed music?
so
Okay.
I apologize they were not able to answer your question, but there are a lot of really customizable things. But Brittany, go ahead and read the question anyway, and then I'll finish my thought.
Okay. What are your impressions on the music in Watch Dogs Legions? I really enjoy the music playing in the car radios in Watch Dogs 2 and still have a bunch of those tracks on my Spotify playlist. I'm hoping Legion will have some bangers.
Yes, so
Cool.
there's even more licensed stuff this time around, but as I mentioned, because we wanted to make sure that we weren't going to be having any content ID options, even though we aren't showing you guys any of the sound in the clips that we have playing. They just recommended when we did our capture to just turn it off just for safety's sake.
Yeah.
So hopefully you can have some fun discovery moments for those. But I do want to say, when Ree was talking about customization, London is a melting pot much in the way that New York City is. And what was really a nice touch is that when you go to different vendors around the city, so whether they're clothing vendors or vendors that have other kinds of accessories that you can customize your characters with, they all have a very specific vibe and feel. And one of the vendors that I found was all Indian-inspired clothing, which I thought was really cool because obviously the Indian community in London is very vibrant. And I love that they took some of those cultural cues and said, hey, we want to really highlight some of the really big communities that exist in the London metro. And I think that there's a lot of cool tidbits to discover in Watch Dogs Legion in that manner.
Watchdogs.
Yeah. Ree, do you have any final thoughts?
Final thoughts, just speaking to the analysis paralysis, because I definitely suffer from that, and it's actually what's turned me off from games like a Witcher or a Cyberpunk, is this game does very much feel like a game I don't play to complete. It feels like something that I turn on to run around and do some stuff single player. Again, I'll probably turn it into a puzzle game and try to make it as hard as possible for myself. And then just walk away. Like, I don't have to finish a mission. I don't have to complete a storyline. This definitely pulled me in for the distraction factor and not necessarily for the completion factor. So if that's something that you think could vibe with you, I would say give this one a chance.
Yeah, absolutely. I am very curious to see how it runs on the new consoles.
Oh, yeah.
Because the draw distance is something in an open world that I have yet to see. The only other game that comes close is Assassin's Creed Odyssey, also another Ubisoft game, when we're talking about how many art assets they have loaded in that you can see at like a high level. Like it was impressive. And on that note, I just want to emphasize that those kind of details sometimes get overlooked if people get buried into the specific nitpick that they have, whether it be about the narrative or a specific element of gameplay. I don't want to overlook the fact that the work the Watch Dogs team did, not only in building London, building a giant London with a ton of detail, but being able to recruit these players and have these individual characters all have stories is not to be overlooked. And on that note, I'm thinking that Watch Dogs Legion is one of the most ambitious games I've ever seen, on the level potentially of a Red Dead Redemption 2 as far as innovation in gameplay technique goes.
Yeah. I the minute that they ever announced this game, I was like, y'all are crazy. like you want
Wait,
all
how?
of these randomly generated characters to be main features of your game? Like, fuck, you have to have some really crafty engineers to pull this off.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they did that.
Yep, it just has to mean something. So we'll have to wait to see where the narrative goes. We got a little bit of the narrative in our playthrough, but because we want to avoid spoilers and make sure that you guys have player discovery, we're not going to go into the details. It's easy to learn about Zero Day and what DedSec is fighting for if you watch any of the trailers, but I'm hoping that there's going to be a nugget that lets me latch on and really care about these characters because I think the innovation is wonderful, but I think the downside is there's so much choice that you don't care about any of the choices in a meaningful way.
Yeah,
and
to be
that's my
fair.
final
Yeah.
thought. Brittany, you have been playing Baldur's Gate 3. So this is currently in early access, and you have been playing on which platform?
On PC, on Steam. Thank you, Larian, for providing me a code for this game, as well as Jason, so we could play some multiplayer throughout the weekend. So the build we got was an early access, and since then it has been wiped, and our saves have been wiped. So after all was said and done, I think I got about 8 solid hours in, which was fine, but it was really hard to get a real cohesive playthrough because it was either crashing or the multiplayer was kind of glitching out, which is to be expected. So I'm going to play a little bit. I want to get through the first part of all of early access, which is about 20 hours. And then I feel like I can talk more about the story and more about the mechanics because it is so much different from Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2, which is where I'm very familiar with Larian. It's 5th edition D&D, so there's a lot of different like things I got to wrap my head around. So I'm going to play also on Stadia because now early access is available on Stadia. So I don't have to sit at my PC. I can use an actual controller and see how that goes. So yeah, I'm going to be talking about it more next week, more in depth, because this current build is a lot more stable. I think there's going to be some areas I'm going to be able to access in this build that I couldn't in the last build because it kept crashing, blah, blah, blah. But if you're really curious, there are a lot of obviously hands-on previews out now already. But I want to play the shiny new version and give all of my thoughts on that one.
What did you play as versus what was Jason? Like, what were your builds?
I was, a fighter? I don't know what build it was, because I know if you get into the D&D shit, you can't just say I was a warrior, I was a barbarian, or I was
Sure.
a fighter, because they're all different. But I was definitely the melee, and he was the wizard. And he had fun with his class because it's not, again, like D&D rules. You don't gain necessarily so many experience points. You're not leveling up every few fights. You
Mhm.
level up much slower. And when you do level up, you get to choose what spells you want to add to your spell book and blah, blah, blah. And so he had a lot of fun with the wizard that he played as. As the fighter, I didn't feel like I got any cool new moves until about hour 7 and then 7 or 8. And then that's when we stopped playing. And then our game was wiped like a day later. So we couldn't go back and pick up from that playthrough.
Got it.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, it's available, like I said, Steam Early Access, and it's also on Stadia. You do need to pay the $60 if you want to access it, but Larian has been very clear in saying, like, hey, you can stay far, far away if you want, but this is how they tend to launch their games. They like to do early access for a while, get a lot of feedback, and make modifications as need be. But yeah, and worth noting, too, your progress, your characters won't transfer to the final build. So
At all, ever, in any early access?
according to their FAQ, it says, yeah, the characters won't transfer. You'll have to start a new character. So
Good
that
to know.
Oh,
Important
that's
note.
that's such a bummer because you, as a big Larian fan, obviously want to get in for early access, but that's so much time you're sinking in for it all to just be like poof,
Goodbye.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. On one hand, though, I don't mind it because it gives me this opportunity to play the game as I probably wouldn't play in the final game, aka I can be an asshole and kill everyone. I won't do that in my final game. So
I
it
didn't
lets
think
me
about it that way.
Big brain stretch.
Yeah. There's a lot of different choices you can make because you also have all these checks you need to make, and if you fail those, the dialogue branch is different. So your playthrough, and this is something they're touting, will be very, very different every single time. And of course, they're using like the fancy PR speak. No, two playthroughs will be the same. I don't know how true that really is. But yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, looking forward to playing it. I'll be back next week with more thoughts.
Ooh, it's
Thoughts and
exciting.
prayers.
Yeah,
I like the way
no,
your thoughts look.
Thanks.
Jazz hand thoughts.
Jazz fingers going on around what's good.
Well, thank you for
Ow.
that little teaser. If you guys are interested, of course, Baldur's Gate 3 is available for anybody to play in early access. And
You just got to be okay with your save going away forever.
Yeah, bye-bye, save.
Exactly. It's all about that
Bye.
sacrifice. And that's going to do it for our hands-on segment for this week. When we come back, we've got a very special interview led by one Riana Manuel. You don't want to miss it. Riana, You
Yes.
ran to the mailbox during the break because you were like, I have to go get this thing, and
I did.
it's a candle. And I was like, excuse me, do you not know that I am candle fan number 1? We need to talk about this candle. What is
It was a
this
candle emergency. So I'll explain how I came across this candle first. So shout out to Kind of Funny Best Friend and What's Good listener at Anita_Smack on Twitter, aka Grace. Grace, you're awesome. Thank you so much. Grace owns Valkyrie Candle Company on Etsy. That's VALKYRIE candle.etsy.com. And what really struck me when I went to her candle shop, because obviously I saw, a friend of the show, candle shop, I was already sold. But
You're
once
like,
I
yo,
went
candles.
to the actual,
I need candles. Let's
Duh,
do this.
clearly.
Yeah.
Girl needs her candles. But once I got there, the first one that I saw was this candle, and I'm gonna hopefully it can come across clearly. It says support women in STEM. And when I saw this, I was like, A, it's shiny, B, it says women, C, it says STEM. And I was like, okay, sold. But then I looked at the description, and it turns out 100% of the profits are going to be donated to Black Girls Code when you buy this candle. And you can pick which scent you get in it. So I was like, oh my God, Grace, like you just solved every possible desire I could ever have in a candle. So obviously I bought one. Somehow I kept myself to only buying one for now. I'll get more. But really quickly, I'll just read the notes for this one, which is Black Cherry Merlot. And I'm going to try to get a sexy voice. Hold on.
Oh.
Black Currant,
Oh.
Apple, Black Cherry, Red Wine, Clove, Oak, Amber, and Vanilla. Shout out to Grace. Shout out to Valkyrie Candle Company. Super, super great. Everybody go buy candles. Also, they have little mini candles. They're little tiny and they're cute.
Little
I
baby.
love little. They're good for the bathroom when you have to take a crap.
Wow.
Yes, that would be perfect for that.
Or you can just
But
get
yes,
for free. But get
huge
this better.
selection. Highly recommend. And support women in STEM.
Yep.
Shout out to
Love
Grace.
it. I love it.
Yeah.
I need some more candles in my life always. For this week's feature segment, we have a very special interview that was organized by Ree. Would you tell us all about it?
Yes, absolutely. So, as you guys know, I have been love stalking at Nnesaga on Twitter because she is an amazing Black creator from the UK, and she does a lot of work in the DE&I space. And DE&I stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And anytime I see somebody doing that kind of work on Twitter, I'm immediately following them. And very, very shortly after I followed her, I slid into her DMs and I was like, hey, you're awesome. I love what you
I love that
do.
you slid into her DMs like, hey.
Do you want to be friends? Please be friends.
Like, be my friend, please. Purple hearts. And she was like, yeah, of course, you seem great. And she was actually featured the same week as I was on Inside Gaming. And so we had something to talk about. And the conversation flowed pretty naturally. We developed a nice little professional friendship. And finally, I was like, hey, you know what? I really want to learn more about what you do professionally. And then also what it's like being a Black creator in the UK, because it's something that I obviously am not. And I want to know more. And whenever I want to know more, I tend to just go ask people. So I asked if she would like to do an interview, and I asked you, Andrea, if you'd want to feature it on the show, and you said yes because you're awesome.
Obviously,
And
we want to
we
feature her
finally
on the
made
show.
it happen.
And I wish I could have been there, but because she's in the UK with the time change, it was hard for us to get all of our schedules to align. So I was like,
Yeah.
you guys just set it up without me, and hopefully we can make it work. And thankfully we did. So thank you for organizing.
Yes, of course. And something that I talked about with Stephanie was the fact that this is Black History Month in the UK. And so we talked a little bit about that and what companies are doing. And I'll let you guys hear the rest of it in the segment.
Yeah, so my name is Stephanie. I'm 26 and I am the founder of one of UK's leading gaming and entertainment platforms called Nnesaga, where we specialize in gaming events, media-based events, community-based stuff, diversity and inclusive training and consultation. But our main thing is basically championing diversity and inclusion. My thing is, growing up as a gamer, I never felt represented, or I've never felt included in a space. 5 years ago when I started this, I tried to apply for gaming jobs. I tried to, involve myself in a space, especially maybe as a beginner, but they just didn't allow me in it. So I thought, let me just create my own world until it grows so big that the doors come knocking, and then I'm in control, and then I'm in power. And I think it's so important to, create your own space, or to create something that, you have total control over, and you can't be bossed around, or you can't be, minuscule because, again, with the way society is, sometimes they try to box you into one space. So my space with Nnesaga especially is, creating safe spaces for people who look like me, men, women, non-binary, the LGBT community. But essentially me being a woman, a Black woman in this space, we're not often respected, or we're not often, treated as our fellow non-Black counterparts. So this is just a safe haven for people like me, especially for women, to just come together, enjoy your love for gaming. We also specialize in anime, comics, movies, TV shows, anything that you deem nerdy, we've got you. So in doing so, I've been able to create a really big community that has allowed, people to birth their love for streaming again, creating content, and just connecting with one another. During my events before COVID, I was allowed to, meet so many amazing, beautiful people from all different walks of life who loved gaming, and that's what it's all about. And everyone has been so, respectful. In doing so, I've been able to just grow Nnesaga, and I also do content creating, and I also do streaming myself. And my main thing is just making sure that the mission that I'm doing is bigger than me. I'm able to open doors and, provide more opportunities for people like you and I.
That's so important, and thank you personally for the work that you do. It's definitely needed now more than ever, and I know that it's very hard work, very emotionally draining, and it means a lot that there's people like you out there who are making a difference. So much appreciated. So you are based out of the UK, and October is Black History Month over there.
Yep.
And I know we have a lot of fans in the States, but we also have a lot of people who are all around the world. So I would really love to hear what your experience of Black History Month has been being in Europe, and, what you think maybe is different this year, if anything, or what do you think you hope should be different this year?
So I believe first and foremost, Black people should be celebrated every single month, every single day, second, hour, whatever you name it. That's how we should be celebrated. In the UK, they do make their efforts, especially with a lot of companies based here, and especially with a lot of global companies who understand that Black History Month is in the UK in October. They do, do their efforts to try and ensure that people understand their history, people understand why Black history is super important. They throw activities, they do workshops, panels, events. But I feel like, especially this year, with everything that's happened with, the Black Lives Matter and stuff, this year is a thing where now everyone is putting like a microscope on Black History Month, especially in the UK. Companies are now trying to be very delicate and tread lightly so they don't mess up. Because we've seen a lot of that. Even before Black History, we've seen a lot, them missing the mark, them getting it wrong every single time. And especially with this month in particular, I feel like it's important for, as Black talent, not just creators, just people, in everyday work life, because, your companies are going to be asking you to do panels or workshops, especially in the corporate world. I think it's really important to make sure that you know that you're valuable, you hold value, you hold important information that can benefit the companies going forward, and you deserve to be paid for it. I've told so many people in my community, people come up to me with so much, they would want to ask for advice in regards to Steph or like Nnesaga. How am I able to, monetize and just show companies that I'm of value? Well, if they don't, pay for your time, you say no, because something bigger and better will come anyways. And I know a lot of companies, they say they don't have the budget, but you do have the budget when it comes to advertising Black History Month, or you have the budget when it comes to, finding Black talent for the money. So what is it different now with Black talent? Is it because now that, we've stood our ground, we're now actually being more outspoken of a lot of things? And I think another thing is trying to be very unapologetic with everything that you do. I understand that with any type of company you're in, especially within the games industry, people expect you to be quiet. People expect you to be yes men. People expect you to follow the rules, but it doesn't work like that. And even when we do follow the rules, we end up getting killed. And then the system has been designed to kill us, and has been designed to keep us from being great, and unfortunately, those are the trials and tribulations that we have to face. But if we can try and, start within our workplaces, start within the industries that we're in, to just say no or to stand your ground, slowly but surely you will see the changes. And I think especially for this month, don't do anything for free. Tell the companies this is what you need to do to improve. But even if you do tell them it costs you to consult with them, because again, you are given the ideas. You are the ones that are making the changes. And to the corporate companies and the big, brands that are looking in and trying to see how they can help, don't just focus on Black History Month. What's going to happen after Black History Month? We still have an ongoing fight, an ongoing battle. We cannot do this ourselves, unfortunately. And when we try to do it ourselves, we end up in jail. We end up getting killed. Something happens. So we have to kind of create this kind of allyship, so then we're able to kind of make these changes. Permanent solutions don't happen unless there's permanent changes. And I'm always talking about diversity and inclusion, because unfortunately we're not recognized, we're not represented, and there's so many of us, but we're not highlighted into that big scale. And like you said earlier, it's tired, it's draining, and there's times when I just feel like I just want to give up the fight. But I know, again, like I said, this is bigger than me. This is me providing more opportunities for people when I leave the earth. Like, it's always important to create that impact, because when you create that impact, it follows through for generations to come. So to wrap it up, in a sense, don't just focus on this month saying, oh, you want to make sure you put everything into Black History Month this month. November's coming, December's coming, next year is coming. We're still having to fight with the police. Police are still killing us. What are you guys trying to do? It's not just giving us money to talk on like a 30-minute panel. There needs to be some sort of thought after that, And I think another important thing is this month is a month to listen. I think a lot of the times, so many people are speaking over each other. So many people are trying to, come up with different types of solutions. But unless you experience it, unless you're in it, you cannot help. You have to listen. So I think this month especially is like about listening and taking heed into what you can do to change.
And that's so important. And we've seen a number of companies get it wrong recently, clearly, but we don't need to talk about that. What I want to know from you specifically is, where do you see people and companies doing things right, or at least a little better than they have before? Or maybe examples that we could point to that people should look to and follow.
I think the ones that are doing stuff right are the ones who are doing stuff internally first. Because I know when the whole Black Lives Matter stuff was going on, and, when all that phase was happening, a lot of companies were putting out statements but weren't following through with that after. And then you see another lot of companies that were not putting out statements, but they were actually putting in the action. And those are the ones where I think personally are the ones you need to take heed to, because it's not just about saying something and then not doing it. It's about actually doing it without trying to be reminded or trying to have people attack you saying, oh, why didn't you make a statement? Why didn't you do this? One example I'd say is Elgato. Now, I'm not just saying that because I'm partnered with them, but they understood that in order for them to move, in order for them to understand what's going on with the world, they have to put more action into place. They were doing a lot of internal workshops. They were doing a lot of internal training. They were also amplifying it and now, bringing in more Black partners, more Black creators to show that, listen, we want to make sure we diversify. That, their thing isn't the strongest, but they wanted to improve. Even now this month, when I spoke to them, because Elgato is based in America, predominantly, I asked, okay, so what are you guys doing for Black History Month in the UK? Because I understand, yes, a lot of global companies are in America, but this is a global thing going on right now. Anything that happens in America, it affects us and everywhere else. So it was just really nice to hear that, they were doing I suggested doing something to highlight and spotlight Black, British content creators. And now they're actually doing that. So on the timeline on the Elgato Twitter page, you actually see they started now highlighting Black British content creators. And it's amazing because now people are able to see like, there's people that look like me that are in this space, but I didn't even know until they were amplified. It's just, sometimes it's just the little things that make a long-term impact. It's not about putting loads of money into a marketing campaign that's going to be here tomorrow and here today and gone tomorrow. Sometimes it's just those little impacts that allow you to open up that, bracket for more opportunities and more things to come. So yeah.
No, that's perfect. And thanks for naming names, because a lot of times folks want to be allies. They want to support companies that are making that true, lasting, positive change, but they don't know who is who. And it's very easy to get caught up in the marketing because it's effective. It's shiny. They got the black screen with the white text, and you think they're doing the right thing because they have all of the donation links up, but
Yeah,
maybe they're not actually putting in the work behind the scenes. So it's good to know
exactly.
who is.
Mhm. No, definitely. I definitely agree. And especially because, I mean, we can name a long list of people who ain't doing it right, but, for the purpose of today, I think the ones that, for me personally, I'm all about helping, and I'm all about trying to improve where there is a lack of. So, what I said earlier about diversity and inclusive training and consultation, I do that as well. But internally, I try to talk to, companies in terms of how can you improve from your hiring processes to the people who do your journalism, to stuff like that. I was working with PC Gamer over the summer, doing like a gaming kind of internship, and it all started because I blasted them. I'll be honest with you. I just I just saw that because they do the PC gaming show every year, and they made a statement about like Black Lives Matter, and I said, okay, I tweeted underneath saying, oh, that's great, but just we need more Black people, basically. No point is, and one of the directors actually commented after that, we stand by you, like, we hear everything you're saying, and then followed after. I said, oh, amazing. And then you saw like the racist comment underneath, which is not normal, but normal. So then after that we spoke, we had like internal conversations, we had a meeting. Sometimes, again, like I said, it's just about listening and trying to do what you can. After I did and then all of a sudden they wanted me to do like an internship and work with them and how they can improve. And after that was over, we did a follow-up, and they're actually doing internal work and internal training like every week to make sure that they're improving their diversity, their understanding. They're trying to do the unconscious bias training, stuff like that. And it's just really nice to hear that they're actually making the steps towards change, because I know and I understand that change is not overnight. But if we can actually see you're doing those things and making those steps, you're going to see the stuff in the bigger picture long-term wise. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I love that you mentioned the unconscious bias training, because we don't have to get super into the weeds on it, but unconscious bias, honestly, it's insidious. If you don't know what it is, please Google it really quickly. There are tests that you can take to see where you are on scales for all kinds of bias, but it really does change the way people treat each other, which is
Yeah.
ultimately what we need to fix. And so it's really great that people are reaching out to you to do that work and paying you for your time.
Oh, girl, I ain't doing nothing for free anymore. Like, I've been 5 years deep into this game. No way, no way, no
Mhm.
way.
I
No
mean,
way.
that actually brings up a really interesting point, because I'm assuming there are companies out there, or at least people at companies out there, who want to do better and who don't really know where to start. And I'm not going to go down the road of like, stop asking Black people to fix your racism. It's not our job.
It's
We
not our
tried,
job
it
at
didn't
all.
work.
Mhm.
But if people are looking for resources to help point each other in the right direction, where do you think they should start?
In the communities, the platforms who are already existing and they are doing the work to provide that sort of pool. When it comes to campaigns and projects, you're still seeing the same people doing and being in front of those faces, when there's a whole community and a whole pool of talent who are looking for that opportunity, but when they try to reach out, they're rejected. And then you have that thing of when it turns around, the companies say, oh, we can't find any people or any Black people, when really and truly you guys weren't checking for us in the first place. And when we tried to check for you guys, it was just ignoring of emails and all sorts. And it's just like, it's so unfair, because really and truly, we make the culture. There's a lot of things, especially in pop culture, just in general. This is just even not gaming. This is just like the span across every type of industry that we're in. We make the culture. And you cannot tell me that you can't find a Black woman to do a tech review, or, a Black disabled man to do something that's of your campaign. And it's just like, we're going to grow tired of seeing the same faces that you keep marketing, because that is not the true reflection. And then if we go back into gaming is so diverse, and there's so many faces from all different kinds of backgrounds that you cannot be telling me that you're marketing it to a white middle-aged man. That is not the face of gaming. And even when it comes to journalism, like that's not it is. And I would rather listen to somebody who looks like me, from because I know I can understand the experience, and that having that relatability also helps boost like the company's brand as well. If you have that relatability in your campaign, engagement reaches, even money will improve. But the fact that it's because you keep promoting that same old rhetoric, we're just in this continuous cycle, and then lack of opportunities are given. You're having to now go and create stuff yourself. One of the reasons why I even created Nnesaga is because there was a lack of opportunities. There was nobody really who looks like me who was doing what I was doing. So I had to kind of create that space to be that voice for people, So yeah.
It sucks that we really do have to start the ball rolling so often, but I don't know. Hopefully this is changing. Hopefully
I hope so.
This momentum continues. We'll keep trying. That's all we can do.
That's all we can do, I mean, it's tiring, but again, this is just not for us, it's for like the generations to come,
Yeah. And when I look to like my nieces and my nephews and, younger gamers and younger pop culture nerds, I think they do have a brighter future. I think the work that we're doing does make a difference for them. And so the fight is worth it.
Yeah.
And they'll create amazing things that we could never have dreamed of because of the limitations we've had, because of the lack of representation we've experienced. And it does give me some motivation and some hope to know that it'll be better for them.
Yeah, I agree. Just like seeing my little sister, just making sure that even if she wants to go into gaming, at least there's that platform and that space and that, leeway for her.
Yeah. So kind of going back to the idea of community and different communities that you occupy, because you're in so many different spaces, what has it been like for you growing up as a Black woman overseas? And I say overseas, but you're at home.
Yeah.
In the UK or all the different places that you've lived. Like, what has that experience been like?
For me personally, being a woman, being a Black woman, if we're going to keep it a buck, we are like the most neglected. We are the most disrespected. And fortunately for me, I've been able to have that tough skin to overcome that. And I guess being a quote unquote nerd, because I don't like to label myself, but being a quote unquote nerd, I haven't had to like anyone tell me, oh, you can't be this, you can't be that. I've always been a tomboy growing up. I've always hung around guys because, that was it. I didn't really see many Black women in gaming until, I got a bit older. But I never saw it as a thing of, oh, I'm around so many guys. I just saw it as I'm around so many gamers because that was just a common interest. So, it was all right. But at the same time, just being Black and just, again, being a woman, going into party chats, playing Call of Duty, hearing the sexist comments, hearing the racist comments on top of that, again, like I said, if not for tough skin, I wouldn't be able to deal with like a lot of that stuff. And even now where I am with Nnesaga, I'm still getting guys in my comments. I'm still getting like, racist people in my comments. I'm still, facing those trials and tribulations. And it's just a lot, especially the ignorance as well. Being like an attractive woman, there's a lot of ignorance attached to, you being a gamer because they feel like you're very one-dimensional. They feel like you don't know what you're talking about. There's just a lot of judging before they've even spoken. So again, there is that fight, that continuous cycle that we're always fighting for. Even when, I guess, doing the YouTube content creating, because yes, I had the Nnesaga brand and then I have my own personal brand. So even like doing Nnesaga and stuff and like the content creating on YouTube, you have companies and PR agencies telling you that, oh, you need to look like this pretty white girl to, be involved in these kind of campaigns, or because I am not the thinnest of people, like I have like curves and stuff like that, like you have to conform. And tired. So it's just the thing of like the way people try to market, again, that kind of one-dimensional facade of what gaming is. It can be tiring, but at the same time, it's really cool because I love being a Black woman. I love being who I am, being a gamer, being different, like knowing that I'm a different to, to so many other Black women or so many other women, period. Like, I know that, like, for me, that's what carries so much, and just my integrity and just how I just carry what I do, boldface about it. That's what I, believe in. And I'm always a person about quality, and quantity, and quality over quantity, and just showing that what I do and what I put in, the benefits that come out of it, I know it's going to be long term, and especially I know that I don't like to call myself like a role model, but I know that unintentionally I am. And I know that I am the voice of so many Black women who want to do this, but they can't, or, they've had that fear, or, they've always been vulnerable to, do it, or insecure because some guy or somebody would tell you, oh yeah, you're not good enough, or you shouldn't even be in these spaces because you're a woman. But knowing that I'm one of those voices that can help other women, going forward, I feel very proud to do what I'm doing. There's still a lot, there's still a long way to go. I still have myself, my little self targets that I want to reach, but I'm comfortable, I'm very comfortable. And again, it's about being unapologetic about everything.
Absolutely. And I know we only have you for a little bit more time, but
Yeah.
I guess the last thing I would like to know from you is, what future do you see for those girls or those Black kids coming up? If we do get this right, if we are able to move the needle and make things better, what do you think it'll be for them to come into these spaces, and how do you think they'll experience nerddom?
I think it will be a lot more settled for them. And I also think that, they won't have to face so much pressure and trying to conform into what is deemed the right way to make this a career. Even people who want to do content creating, streaming, even if they don't, they want to work behind the scenes and marketing, the business side, the, the development team, all that stuff, the creating of games, doing this. And for us, what we're doing will ease them into doing it a lot more better, like going forward. And, I want it to be in a sense where we get to that point in the industry where they don't have to try 10 times harder to be, considered the same as our white counterpart. I want it to be a thing where when they're getting the job, it's not because, it's a sympathy vote or something like that. It's because they are talented and they are not looked at a different way because they are Black. I want it to be a thing where when you look at in the next 10, 20 years, when you're looking at what the games company is looking like, what their workforce is looking like, it's super diverse. It's not just one Black guy or one Black woman amongst 50 white people. It's a diverse amount of people. I want it to be a thing where people are just enjoying themselves. They're making it their careers, but they're also enjoying themselves first and foremost. And also to, again, not to put too much pressure on yourself, and to just be yourself. Just be that person that that before, the camera was on you, or before you walked into that first studio, that you don't have to change who you are as a person, but you can just be who you are and make an impact. So, yeah.
Well, I hope we get there. And I know the work that you do puts us closer every day. So thank you.
Thank
again.
you so much. And thank you so much for having me. Honestly, I really appreciate it. The work that you do. Super, guys, listen, she is amazing. And, it's such an honor to just be virtually next to her talking. Honestly, it's just important to support one another, and just, we're all we have. And it's just best to just hold on tight to each other and just do what we can to support one another.
Absolutely. So all of our Black and brown brothers and sisters in the UK, shout out. Happy Blacktober.
Yes,
Hope you guys are enjoying it, and stay safe out there, everyone. So thanks again, Stephanie, for the interview, and we had an amazing conversation. And thanks again, you, Andrea, for making it happen and getting it on the show this week.
Nothing here. It was on a couple emails.
You
this
edited.
is all you, Ree.
That's the kind of content we want to feature on the show, Ree. It's all good.
Happy to do it, and I hope to do more. But yeah, keep an eye out for her on Twitter. She's doing big things lately, and celebrate Black history for the UK.
Absolutely. And please do go check out those links. We'll have them in the show notes for you guys if you want to follow Stephanie and all the content that she is making, not just for gamers in the UK, but for everybody worldwide. And thank you to Ree for making that happen. I think what we love doing here at What's Good Games is making sure we highlight people who maybe wouldn't normally get access to the audience here in the United States, particularly UK creators and women who are in the space doing really cool things. So shout out to you, Rihanna, for making that happen. And on that note, that is going to do it for our show this week. Thank you, everybody, for hanging with us. It was a great episode. We will be back next week with even more content. Don't forget about Monday's Lights Off. We'll see you soon, everybody. Bye.